What's going on there, YouTube? And welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today, we are going to jump back over to DC Comics and continue our coverage over the New 52. And once again, we pick up with Supergirl. Now, with this story right here, we are actually going to cover the origin of Silver Banshee. Now, Silver Banshee used to be a Superman villain, but with this being the New 52, they had a new idea for this character, a whole new reimagining for this character. And so with that being said, I do hope you enjoy today's comic book video. And if you do, please hit that like button down below and subscribe. But here we go. Now, to begin today's video, we actually pick up where the last video left off at. Now remember, at the end of our last video, Supergirl had to deal with the world killers. Now, once she had dealt with them, of course, she felt like Earth should be her new home. But right in the opening pages of this story right here, we see the military forces have surrounded her. And the reason why, because they watch her fight against the world killers. But the problem is they have no idea if she is a good guy or is she a bad guy. And so right now you actually have the military thinking about bringing her in. Now here comes another problem though. Supergirl does not speak English or any other language on Earth. She only knows Kryptonian because she only been on Earth for like maybe a week, and that is it. And so right now they're unable to actually tell her what they want her to do because she can't understand what they want her to do. And so right now she is freaking out and they're also freaking out and they're almost getting ready to actually shoot at her. Now here comes the big thing though. Out of nowhere you do have a random girl come to protect Supergirl because she was one of the innocent people who actually watched Supergirl fight against the world killers. And she knows that Supergirl is actually a good person. Now here comes the next big shocker though. This girl is able to speak Kryptonian. Just like that. Now, we have no idea why or how she is able to do that, but we are going to learn in a moment here. But with the military still don't care who that girl is or why she trying to protect Supergirl, because again, their main goal is to bring in Supergirl. Supergirl has no choice but to take this random girl and fly away because the military do begin to fire at Supergirl and she has no choice but to fly away to save her life and this other girl that she just randomly met at this moment. Now, you do have Supergirl actually take this girl to a random rooftop so that they're able to actually talk to one another. Now, this is the moment where you actually have Supergirl begin to learn the girl's name, and her name is Stefan, and I really hope I pronounced that name correctly. But either way, you do have Stefan say she has the ability to communicate with other people no matter the language, meaning that she can communicate with anyone easily. Matter of fact, not just with people, but also with animals as well, which is kind of interesting. But either way though, you do have Supergirl actually explain that she is from a different planet, that she is actually an alien, that she is from Krypton. And so for Stefan, she's kind of like, okay, well, at least I know more about you because honestly, all I knew about you was you were some chick who came out of nowhere and saved the day, which is honestly pretty cool. And you can tell where this story is actually going to go because this is Supergirl's first friend. And what I mean by that is Remember, when she crash landed on Earth, she was instantly attacked by a bunch of dudes in armor suits who worked for a guy known as Simon Tycho. But on top of that, she did meet her cousin Superman, but she did not trust him at first with everything he was telling her about Krypton, because she had no idea that Krypton was destroyed. And so this is Supergirl finally meeting someone and kind of having a friend on her new home world, which is Earth, of course. And so with that, you do have Siobhan take Supergirl back to her apartment. They give her some new clothes to wear. And the reason why, because she wants to take Supergirl out to her next event. Because apparently Siobhan is a singer and she has a big concert or a big show happening at a cafe in a couple hours. And so she wants to show Supergirl around the town to show her how Earth works in different ways than Krypton. And this is a huge moment for Supergirl. And the reason why I say that's because when she does get to the cafe, her powers begin to go crazy. Because when it comes to Supergirl, she is still learning how to control her powers. And so right now, her super hearing, her super smell, and her X-ray vision is just going bonkers. Because she honestly hasn't learned yet how to control these different things all at once. But either way, once it comes time for Siobhan to start singing, that is when Supergirl is able to control her powers, because she makes her mind only focus on her friend who is singing. And with her friend singing, she realized that the music is completely different than it was on Krypton. But while she's listening to her new friend performing her new song to everyone in this cafe, that is the moment where Supergirl runs into another super villain. And that villain is actually known as the Black Banshee. Now, when it comes to the Black Banshee in the New 52, it is very complicated. And the reason why, because this story doesn't really give us a lot of details on the actual origin of Black Banshee. And you'll see what I mean as we go through this book right here. But either way, Black Banshee is the new bad guy of this video, and also the fact that he is the father of Siobhan. Now that is huge, because earlier Siobhan actually told Supergirl that her father was dead. Now I forgot to mention that she told Supergirl that, but she did. She said, "My father died a long time ago, but hey, my father is still after me." And so for Supergirl, she's kind of like, wait a second. Your father is dead, but he is somehow still able to chase you down? How is that even possible? Now, Supergirl does try to fight against the Black Banshee, but she fails so easily. And so with her failing against the Black Banshee, it does seem like that maybe all hope is lost. But that is the moment where we come to find out that Siobhan has another form, and she turns into the Silver Banshee. And this was a classic DC character, but with the New 52, of course, they try to give her a new updated origin story and try to make her a more interesting character that completely failed. But let me explain the origin of Silver Banshee and also the Black Banshee. Now we do jump back 13 years ago when we jump into the next chapter of Supergirl, and this gives us a tad bit about the origin of Silver Banshee and Black Banshee, where we learn that 13 years ago, Silver Banshee, her brother Tommy, and their mother was always on the run because Black Banshee was trying to get them even back then. Well, really trying to get his daughter, Silver Banshee, because if he is able to actually absorb his daughter, that will let him rule the world. And so we learn back then, 13 years ago, Tommy, the brother to Silver Banshee, sacrificed himself as a way to stop Black Banshee, because the way the curse works, if Black Banshee absorbed his son, it was supposed to stop Black Banshee in his track and finally free Silver Banshee. But here comes the problem. We now know back in the present day, that didn't work. That Silver Banshee was still being chased after her father, even though Tommy, her brother, basically sacrificed himself as a way to save his sister. Now we do jump back to the present day, and when we do, we actually see Supergirl and Silver Banshee trying to work together to actually stop Black Banshee. But here comes the big problem though. With Black Banshee being pure magic, you just can't punch and kick your way out of this problem. Meaning that for Supergirl, if she wants to save the world, or really just save her friend from being absorbed by her evil father, she needs to find a different way, because punches and kicks are not going to help her to win this battle. Now, here comes the next problem for Supergirl, because while she's fighting against Black Banshee, every time he uses his magic on her, it begins to make her powers go out of control. Because let's not forget, Supergirl has only been on Earth for maybe a week, and she just learned that she has all these powers thanks to the yellow sun. And so with that, she was unable to actually learn how to control these different powers. And so every time Black Banshee does some kind of magic on her, her powers go crazy. Her super strength, her X-ray vision, her heat vision, every single one of her powers basically makes her go crazy, and she is having a hard time actually controlling all of these different powers, especially when she's being attacked by Black Banshee in his magic powers. But with Supergirl powers going crazy, of course that means her super flare powers are about to go crazy as well. When it comes to a super flare for Supergirl or Superman, that is the moment where they release a high amount of solar flare energy in a certain area. And so with that being said, Supergirl is about to do the same thing right now thanks to Black Banshee's magic making her powers go crazy. And so right now, you have Supergirl actually decide to use that solar flare energy as a way to stop Black Banshee. And so that is the moment where we actually see her dive into the body of Black Banshee, hoping to release all that solar flare energy inside of him to hopefully stop Black Banshee and save the day. But here comes the problem though. With Black Banshee being pure magic, he was just able to absorb Supergirl like it was nothing, and then continue on to go after his daughter Silver Banshee. Because again, he's just pure magic. Supergirl can't just punch and kick her way out of things. Even though she had a different game plan, it still did not work. And now it seems like Black Banshee might be able to actually get what he wanted, which is his daughter to complete the curse. Now when we jump into the next chapter of Supergirl, we actually see Supergirl right now reliving a moment in her life. Now in this moment, it was her and her mom actually going to see some kind of scientist that was able to scan the DNA of Supergirl to find out who would be the best fit for Supergirl to marry down the road. Because apparently, when it came to Supergirl's mother back on Krypton, she did not trust Supergirl to find the best man for herself. But either way, Supergirl realized that something is wrong with this memory, because as soon as Supergirl and her mom left that scientist, her mom was kind of hard on her, but she wasn't so harsh. Because the things Supergirl's mom is saying right now, she did not say that back in the past. And so that tells Supergirl something is really wrong here, especially when Supergirl's mom actually walks off the platform and falls into the lava, which of course kills her. And so with that, Supergirl knows something is really wrong here. And that is the moment where you have Supergirl realize that she's in the body of Black Banshee, especially when he does appear in front of her to tell her that yes, you're inside of me, but unfortunately I was unable to absorb your soul completely. And so what he's doing right now is that he's going to use all the different memories, the good and the bad, as a way to torture her so that her mind can break, and that will give him the ability to actually absorb her soul completely. And so with that, he makes her move on to the next memory, hoping that he'll be able to actually absorb Supergirl's soul. But when Supergirl goes into the next memory, well, that is the moment where she is actually confronted by a character known as Tommy. Let's not forget, Tommy is the older brother of Silver Banshee, but also he was the one who sacrificed himself, hoping that it will stop Black Banshee from coming after Silver Banshee. Of course, we know that did not work at all. But either way, we also learn that time is different here, because when it comes to Tommy, he has barely aged, but for Silver Banshee, it has been 13 whole years. But either way, you do have Supergirl realize that she needs to get out of here, save her new friend Silver Banshee, but to also stop Black Banshee. And so what she does next is she says that she is able to still feel some of her energy inside here in Black Banshee. She must take that energy and make a weapon as a way to cut her way out of here to go save her friend. And that is the moment where she is able to actually create a sword, a weapon to use against Black Banshee in this world. Now, this plan of hers is actually going to work, but before we actually dive into that, I do want to mention when Black Banshee is able to find Supergirl and also find Tommy, he does say he had a hard time finding Tommy in this world because Tommy was doing a great job hiding from his father inside his father, which is kind of weird to say. But either way, you do have Black Banshee think that he's about to win this battle and be able to actually absorb both Supergirl and Tommy. But you didn't have Supergirl use her new sword, or actually two swords, because then she makes a second one, as a way to cut her way out of here. And when she does that, bam! Just like that, she has an opening back into the real world once again. And with them coming out of Black Banshee, it does enough damage to him where he is unable to move. And with him being unable to move, well, of course, that gives Silver Banshee the time she needs to actually absorb Black Banshee. Now, we have no idea what in the world is going to happen to her now, because remember, the curse said Black Banshee must absorb Silver Banshee. We have no idea what in the world could happen to her because now she had absorbed Black Banshee. But either way though, you didn't have Silver Banshee realize that her brother Tommy is alive again. And with him being alive again, she is so happy. But of course, Supergirl, Tommy, and Silver Banshee cannot celebrate just yet because the military has arrived once again to capture Supergirl. And so you have Supergirl use her powers as a way to escape from the military once again. But that is the moment where we actually jump over to a random man right now testing out some kind of nanobot suit. Now this nanobot has different abilities, but here comes the big thing though. Whoever made this suit for this man, their goal is to capture Supergirl. And so we're going to see this man with this new suit battle against Supergirl in our next video. And so with that being said, I do hope you enjoyed today's comic book video. And if you did, please hit that like button down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoyed today's comic book video. Later, guys.